Welcome to the shop, or what was my shop, still is my shop, but is currently a toolless shop. As you can see, the table saw is missing. Let's go back and start at the beginning of this. So about 11 years ago, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with a rare condition called IIH, or 1 to 2 people in every 100,000 people have this condition, typically women in their 20s that are overweight. She was not that. She was 5 years old. She's never been overweight. And what ended up happening is we ended up getting spinal taps as they were figuring out the condition, and that's ultimately, it's a process of elimination. And then we got shunts, ventricle shunts up in her head, lumbar shunts in her spine, back and forth. And about every 6 months we were doing that over the course of 7 to 8 years-ish. And about 3 years ago, we finally, she reached an age where things, as kids get older, shunts tend to last longer. They do fail a lot when they're kids, apparently. And she has a lower lumbar shunt now that has not needed a revision in 3 years. She has had a couple spinal taps just to get things kind of back on track, but otherwise with medications and that, she's a normal 16-year-old wanting to get her license in cheerleading. There's a few activities she doesn't do, like we don't play, basketball, soccer, something where a ball could hit that shunt in the back, or trampolines or parks. Now, I've always had a medical insurance, but as you can imagine, costs still add up. You still max out, and things just happen. So always we're making payments to the hospital. In addition to that, my wife has a rare condition called POTS. She got that in 2010 after having MRSA due to the chemical cocktail of medications they gave her. It kind of zapped her autoimmune system, and she developed this. And then about 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, she also started to develop fibromyalgia. Both of those conditions combined have with them a lot of times chronic fatigue. So her POTS is only 0.2% of the general population, or an estimated 500,000 to 1 million people in the U.S. have that. Fibromyalgia, about 4 million U.S. adults suffer from that, or about 2% of the population. Chronic fatigue affects about 1.3% of the population, or 3.3 million people-ish to 3.5 million. With chronic fatigue, most people lead a normal life. Some, I guess I should say many people lead a normal life, while others, struggle with everyday activities. Having a conversation, reading a newspaper, even getting up to make a meal. And the latter is where my wife is at. So you combine all of their medical bills, none of which are their fault. They need treatment, you need diagnosis, it all takes time. We're paying the hospitals what we can every month, 50, 100, couple $100. But then at some point, the hospitals around here stopped accepting my payments. And we would give larger payments when we could, tax returns, things like that. But they all of a sudden came back and said, you must pay 10% of what you owe every month until it's paid off. So basically 10 months is the max you can have an outstanding balance. Couple that with the pandemic hitting, and yes, there was stimulus money and things like that, but also along with that, my part-time job was in retail. And this is also part of this, is my wife and I both work 2 jobs. Things have just gotten more expensive over the years. Again, none of this is the kid's fault, my wife's fault, or my daughter's fault. They're just a set of circumstances. So with that, the pandemic hits, I decide not to go back to my part-time job. It really wasn't making enough a year to make a difference. It was taking up a lot of time, and I needed to be home because my wife was getting worse to help take care of the kids and such. Also, my wife then lost her dance program, her second job and her passion. Tough times during the pandemic. We live in a small town. People didn't want their kids doing dance by video. Lost that job. She also lost her full-time job. So essentially within the matter of a month, or basically overnight, we lost 40% of our income. I don't know many people who can just suffer the loss of 40% of their income. So I've now got 40% less income, but I've also got these places saying 10%, and I had to choose. And the choice was pay the mortgage, keep that going, keep the house over, food on the table, and everything got sent to collections. And there was a couple other things that we were instantly overextended overnight. We were perfectly fine, but you lose 40% of your income, and I know most people would be overextended just like that. And I pushed on for years. I sold planters to help keep things going and everything like that, doing what I could. But it all came to a head. I had the hospitals garnishing my wages. I had somebody else garnishing my wages, and I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. And some friends told me about a lawyer to talk to get some help. I did, and we proceeded with that in September. And that was basically a maneuver to save our house. I have done that. Everything is caught up on the house. The mortgage payment gets paid. The kids don't have to move. There's food on the table, and there's now money going into savings. So it did what it was supposed to, but in doing so, although I thought my tools would not be taken, I thought those were exempt and I could keep my table saw and items, a trustee found out I was a woodworker and said no. And the auction company came and took everything out of my shop like it was an estate sale. Table saw, bandsaw, every power tool I have, every cordless tool I have, it's all gone. I'll show you here. See, all of my cordless tools are gone, every single one of them. My miter saw is gone, scroll saw, circular saws, all of it. The bandsaw, my lathe, my drill press, like I said, they came in like it was a estate sale and took everything. Chisels, drill bits, my levels, clamps, every clamp I owned is gone. So that's where we stand. A lot of that's how 2023 is gone. That's why I have not made many videos, is the tools have been gone now. I was just struggling with everything. Honestly, didn't want to be in the shop. It was also a hot year. I'm not out. We're not done. This is just a new beginning. It's a fresh start. Financially, it's a fresh start. The shop, it's a fresh start. So I am going to go ahead and get this wall, I hope, painted soon. Got to get through this holiday. Just spent money on Christmas, but get a little savings built. Get a couple gallons of paint and paint this wall. Get the electrical finish there and start slowly acquiring tools. I don't know that it's going to be the same caliber of tools I had. It took me 8 years to come up with all of the tools I had in here on a budget with 2 incomes. My wife is not able to go back to work. It just isn't, her condition has worsened and it doesn't work for her to go to work. So we'll get it done on a single income. So with that said, before the holidays, I did buy a Skil drill and driver because they had an absolute stunning deal. And I think Skil is going to be the tools I lean to right now because they are a great budget tool that's having good sales and innovating, and they seem like solid tools. We're going to find out. Do some reviews. Let's use them for a year. Table saw will be next. I'm probably looking at a job site table saw, probably the Skil there also, and a shop vac because I need to clean this place up because I hadn't done it since planter season, and I'm going to borrow a shop vac to get it cleaned up, but I need dust collection of some sort, so we're going to get that. That'll be next. In fact, I'm looking at a DeWalt I think we're going to look at trying getting here in the next few months. So I hope to get some videos going next year, try to get this channel back off the ground and get going, but I just wanted to come on here and let you know you're not alone. 500,000 businesses and people are going through what I just went through, and that is way up. I think it was something like 13% or something, or 30%. It's one of the two numbers, but it's way up compared to what it was prior to the pandemic, and it's just getting worse for people. The economy is tough. Just keep in mind, you don't ever know what someone's going through, both financially and physically. My wife can go out on a Friday night and everybody says she looks fine. She's really pushing through the pain, and she'll pay for it for the next week, but you can't stay home 365 days a year 24/7. You have to live life some, so we just get through it. My daughter was the same way. There for many years there was a lot of stuff she couldn't do, and she's finally got a shunt that's stable enough that we haven't needed surgeries, that she hasn't been on bed rest, that she isn't getting headaches. She can be a normal 16-year-old, but you can't see it. So people are like, she's fine, when really she may not be in both cases. And again, you may say, well, somebody has nice house, nice car, this, that, but you never know. Maybe they just lost 40% of their income overnight and they're struggling to keep all that stuff, and it could all come crashing down. Fortunately for me, the worst of it is I lost the shop. I don't have to move. I don't have to pack my kids up. Same house, same bedroom, same school, food on the table, mortgage paid. We're good. And a shop can be rebuilt, and we will do it. So thanks for watching.